Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis chapter 6, verses 5, exegesis. So look, and God saw. Let's break this down. What does that mean? Yahweh saw. This shows the all-seeing eye of God. Nothing is hidden from him, both outward actions and inward thoughts. It's not just human violence and corruption that God observes, but the heart itself, the source of all action. That the wickedness of man was great in the earth. Let's break this down. The word wickedness here is ra'ah in the Hebrew, meaning morally evil, corrupt, and depraved. Humanity had reached a state where sin was not occasional, but pervasive, consistent, continually, only evil continually. It uses three emphasis. Then the Lord God saw that the wickedness of man was on the earth was only evil continually. That's three emphasis, only evil continually. This is a sharp contrast to God's creation in Genesis chapter 1 when he saw everything was very good. Now he sees it is as entirely corrupted, hence the flood. Every imagination of the thoughts of his heart. Let's break this down. The word imagination is yetzir in the Hebrew. Literally means form, inclination, or framework. The shaping of the inner thoughts. So the word imagination, it means literally the form or the inclination or the framework of the mental state of the mind of the individual. The shaping of the inner thought. It goes beyond outward deeds. It's not just external. Predominantly, it's internal. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So it's internal. Even the designs, the inclinations, and the purposes of the hearts were twisted. This points to man's total depravity. Sin is not just what people do, but what they desire and imagine. Remember, it begins in the heart. And God saw that the thoughts of the imagination was evil continually. The thoughts were evil continually. So before you even get to the actions, their thoughts was only evil continually. Let's break this down specifically. Notice the stacking of words. We talked about this. There's a three emphasis. Every, only, and continually. In the Hebrew, in the Jewish thought, they emphasize things double. When it was double emphasized, that meant it was of great importance. So just imagine triple importance. Just imagine triple doubling. Triple. It's not double, it's triple now. So the stacking of these three words, every, only, and continually, this triple emphasis shows the depth of corruption. There was no break, no neutrality, no good mixed with evil. Remember, the proverb says, don't be overly good and don't be too evil. It's like, try to find a balance. Try not to totally go over on the ungodly side. But this says that there was no godly side. There was no mixture. There was no lukewarm. It was just only evil continually. It paints a picture of humanity completely given over to sin. So let's break down the theological reflection and then we're going to close out. This verse reveals why the flood was necessary. God's judgment was not arbitrary, but a response to unrepentant corruption. It also shows the seriousness of sin. Not just acts, but heart orientations matter to God. Remember, God said it is better to obey than to sacrifice. This verse sets the stage for God's grief in Genesis chapter 6, verse 6, which we'll uncover, and his decision to bring the flood as judgment. So practical application today. Jesus said the days of Noah will be like the days before his coming. This suggests that human society will again reach a state where wickedness and corrupt imagination dominate. Believers are called to guard their thoughts. 2 Corinthians 10:5, which says, 2 Corinthians 10:5, it says, for the weapons of our warfare are not mighty in God. Let me just read it because I don't want to mess it up. It's for the weapons of our warfare are not mighty in God, but are for the pulling down of strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. And I was just doing that by memory, so let me read it for you. All right. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God, for the pulling down of strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. And let's close out with Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. Do not be conformed to the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh Elohim. So once again, renewing the mind, renewing the thoughts and the inclinations and the framework of the heart and the mind, so that they're not evil continually, but that they're good continually. Resist the enemy and he will flee from you. Genesis chapter 6, verses 5, exegesis.